Hello guys and welcome to this sunny day here in Barcelona. I had the honor and very pleasure of riding the new Ducati Hypermotard 698 Mono in its RVE version. Now let's begin. So like I said, I had the very honor of riding this bike, testing it out and enjoying it. Now let me tell you what I learned about it. So first of all, we have a highly modern bike in front of us. We have 4 riding modes, lots of electronics. We have dynamic traction control, we have dynamic wheelie control, we have ABS, which you can set in 4 different levels, and the list goes on and on and on. So the ABS, which is a very important feature of this bike, has 4 settings. The ABS 1 setting permits you to slide the rear wheel in the twisties. That means that anytime you press the brake, the rear brake, hard enough, the bike will start to slide with its rear wheel. However, the electronics themselves will keep the bike from oversliding, and so therefore you will be safe. This is one of the greatest features of this bike, in my opinion, because it lets somebody like me, who has limited to 0 experience, all I ever rode as a supermoto was my friend Mirko's 690 Enduro R, which he converted to supermoto, and that's a 10-year-old bike or even more, and no way in hell could I ever have ridden that bike the way I did this bike. So ABS 1 lets you slide very much and still keeps you in check and pretty safe. I had a pretty close call while riding it, and I have to say, even while I was sliding in the corner and a truck surpassed a bicycle and almost crashed into me, I felt really safe on board and nothing happened. The electronics are absolutely fantastic on this bike. In the ABS setting 2, you get to slide a bit less. In the ABS setting 3, even less so, and in ABS setting 4, you don't slide at all. So if you want to stay safe at all times, leave it in ABS 4 and you won't have any problems. Now, like I said, you have dynamic wheelie control as well on this bike and traction control. If you turn off traction control and set the dynamic wheelie control or the dynamic wheelie assist, you get to choose the height of the wheelie you do. So you can basically tell the bike how high you want the wheelie to be, and the bike will help you get there and stay there, which is very important. So it keeps you from doing things that lead to a hospital visit. Then we have 4 riding modes, exactly. We have Sport, Road, Urban and Wet. They're pretty self-explanatory. Sport is the most ambitious setting, obviously, and what do these riding modes do? They set all of the electronics to a certain in a certain way, so that you get to ride the bike based on what you think you want right now. Obviously, you can choose your riding mode and then further set your settings the way you want to do so. So everything can be set to and tailored to your needs, to your wants. Then let us move on to the brakes real quick. The brakes are a very essential component to any bike. These brakes are absolutely fantastic, I have to say. Brembo brakes, 330mm single disc at front, 240 disc at the rear, 4-piston radial setup, and I have to say they are fantastic. You only need one finger on the front brake, and even with the foot you get to dose the brake in an insanely precise way. So very, very, very good job by Brembo and or Ducati both. Now, what else is there to say? This is, as you can see, the RVE version of the bike, which means that we get this bike in this special colorway, in this special color scheme, and on top of that you get the quick shifter with blipper as standard. That is not as standard on the normal version of this bike. It is an accessory, an option. Here, however, it comes as standard, and that is about the difference between the RVE and the base model. You get the quick shifter with blipper and the special color scheme. That is it. Let's move on. The aesthetics, like I said, they're very subjective. I really like the bike. I don't really like the color scheme, but it's just my personal taste. I'm sure many of you will find this bike gorgeous. The double underseat exhaust, in my opinion, is simply fantastic. I have always loved them, and they aesthetically, in my opinion, are very pleasing. However, another fundamental part of every bike is its tire. Now, we here have the Conti Attack SM2 Evo, which is a brand new tire just coming out, just being launched now by Continental. We tried it. It offers so much grip, so much grip. I really don't think you would need slicks, even on track, if you use this tire. It is a fantastic tire which really lets you know that you can go all the way. You can go all the way and maybe a bit less so in the wet. Now, the tank, the fuel tank has a volume of 12 liters. Pretty fair, I would say, pretty fair. We have 77.5 horsepower at 9,750 RPM. And let me tell you, you will use those RPM because of the transmission ratio. And we have 63 Newton meters of torque at 8,000 RPM. Now, many people have asked us, do you feel that the torque is late, simply late to the party? We also did a test video with the KTM 690 SMCR, which has its peak torque at 5,600 RPM, so 2,500 RPM earlier. And let me tell you, no, both of these bikes have plenty of torque throughout the rev range. We also did a small drag race with accelerating from 50 kilometers an hour in third gear, and both bikes accelerated equally. Then what else do we have? We have a Marzocchi fork, fully adjustable in the front, and a Sachs shock in the back, also fully adjustable. Great components. The suspension is really, really, really good. Let me tell you that. Of course, I'm not the heaviest person, so the suspension does not have too much problems with my weight. I'm sure if you set it up to your weight and your height, it is probably gonna be even better. Then what else do we have? We have 215 millimeters of travel in front. We have lots of electronics that I already mentioned. This bike weighs 151 kilos dry, so I guess 160 kilos fully fueled up. And the seat height of the Ducati is 904 millimeters. Now, 904 millimeters might sound like a lot. And I as well thought that with my height, I'm gonna have problems on this bike, sitting on this bike. However, let me tell you, that is simply not the case. I am very much not limited to other types of bikes. This supermoto is accessible for me as well. Obviously, I cannot touch with both feet. However, that is not necessary. I will just keep one foot on the foot pegs and the other I'll put down at the red light or whatever. Speaking of red lights, in the city, this is a very handy bike as it doesn't weigh a lot. You can easily throw it around as well. So it is very, very, very agile. Speaking of agility, in the core, in the twisties, this bike simply feels at home. It is the most agile bike I have probably ridden until now. And I got to say, it is so much fun to ride this bike in the twisties. Obviously, we have ride by wire, and all of the ABS systems and other systems act depending on your lean angle, which is always appreciated. And we have the usual supermoto tire dimensions in the front and the rear. And with that being said, I think this is a great addition to Ducati's lineup. Up until now, KTM has kind of had no competition at all. Now, however, this bike is so very good, and the exhaust system just sounds so phenomenal in its stock form, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. If you still dislike it, you get to buy other exhaust systems as well. In Italy they are street legal. Termignoni exhausts you can get from the factory if you wish so. However, I'm pretty pleased with these, and yeah, good. I think with that I have said it all. If you still have a comment, if I forgot something, please let me know in the comments. I will give it my best to answer all of you and all of your questions. In conclusion, go test this bike. If you're interested in supermotors, if you like the way they ride, just try it out and see for yourself if it suits you or not. Great. That being said, guys, thank you very much for watching. Leave me a like if you liked this video. And like I said, let me know if you have any questions in the comments. See you guys in the next one. Thank you and goodbye from sunny Barcelona.